Hi guys, I had some pictures taken of what I'm going to talk to you about. The only problem is I can't find the pictures. They're not hard pictures, I just don't know. I might have accidentally deleted them or whatever. Anyway, I have a 2003 Ford Excursion. And I bought this Excursion a couple of years ago because I need a tow vehicle to get two of my vehicles from Southern California up to here, where I live. Well, you know, those plans don't work out. The Excursions ended up being a road trip vehicle, but it's an awesome road trip vehicle. But here's the thing with the Excursions, and it's a really common topic on the Ford Excursion social media pages. I'll put it like that. First thing, the fuel filter on my 2003 6.8 V10 Excursion is on the inside of the frame, right underneath the driver's seat. That's that. So now you know where it is. You can look it up on the internet, you won't find it anywhere. So if you need help finding it, put in a request. I'll post another picture. So my Excursion, that's the one thing. It started shutting off for absolutely no reason. The engine would shut off for absolutely no reason. It had a good battery crank over. Everything else was working just fine, except for I could only drive about 100 yards or more, slightly more, and it would just shut off. So in my mind, I just did the fuel pump in my Crown Vic. So in my mind, you know, I'm like, oh crap, fuel pump. Well, troubleshooting, you always do the easiest thing first when you're replacing parts. So I did the fuel filter on my Excursion, and the old filter had the same patina as the frame, which means, in my mind, that fuel filter has never been changed in the life of the Excursion, and it's got almost 240,000 miles on it. And that was a pain. It was so corroded that on the downside fuel line release, I had to let it soak overnight with WD-40 because it would not budge. It didn't have crud in it. It was just that corroded. So, which, you know, okay, I put 30,000 miles on the Excursion in a couple of years doing road trips. So it's never given me any problems with that. Now, it idles smoother. There's no random misfire, which it had. It's not a, you know, random misfire that stays misfiring. It's just in an older car from the 70s or something like that, you would have that because you had spark plug wires. But on the V10, you got a spark plug and coil for each cylinder. So there's no real reason to have a random misfire. That means something else is wrong, in my mind. So anyway, I replaced the fuel filter, and it runs great. If it runs so much more smoothly getting on the freeway, it almost feels slower. I know it's not, because I put an SPD Y pipe in on my Excursion, and I'm about 15-20 miles an hour on my local on-ramp faster than I was before, and that hasn't changed. So that means it's running about the same with the same fuel load. So anyway, that's the number one thing, fuel filter. If your Excursion, gasoline Excursion, starts dying for no reason, change the fuel filter first, in my opinion. Before you start doing everything else on the engine, do the fuel filter first, because that changed everything on my Excursion. So, and it's one of the easiest things to do, especially when I'm not super tall and I'm not super short, but my Excursion is tall. and it's a pain in the butt to troubleshoot everything when you have to stand on a two-step footstool just so you can reach over everything. So fuel filter first. If your Excursion is randomly dying for no reason, it's probably, and unless it's been owned by an enthusiast, the fuel filter's probably never been changed. Now, the second thing with the battery, another common thing on the forums for Ford Excursion, the thing is, apparently, because I'm not an Excursion pro, but this is what I've gathered, and so my Excursion, out of the blue, started, the radio would shut off, and I would hear the relay click, the radio would shut off, and then my windows wouldn't work anymore, which can be really inconvenient if you get stuck in the rain. So from what I gather with what's going on is this relay is trying to conserve battery power to the battery so that you can make it to somewhere to fix whatever's wrong. It doesn't tell you what's wrong. It's just a relay that disengages those two, the windows and the radio, which I'm kind of curious about the radio because a modern car radio probably doesn't draw that much amperage, I wouldn't think. But the Excursion's got a ton of speakers and stuff like that, so maybe that's why. So anyway, first thing to do before you start doing all this other troubleshooting, okay, clean your battery and clean the battery terminals. That's simple. You know, the Fords, I like Fords. I don't know about the new Fords because I don't know about the path that they're taking, so I have to figure out what I'm going to do. Either that or just keep my cars that I have right now and keep running them until they don't have any more parts for them, which could happen the way the world is working right now. But anyway, clean the top of your battery. Use baking soda and water and a rag and a hose and clean off the top of your battery or the whole battery, whatever, you know, and do your terminals anywhere that you see a nut. Loosen the nut, or don't lose the nut. That would be nutty. But anyway, undo everything, clean it, put it back together. You know, make sure that the top of the battery is clean so that there's no way for current to pass between your battery terminals. Because I did that, and guess what? No more problems with the battery saver relay. That's it. The battery's 2 years old. It's a Duralast battery that I got. Because when I bought the Excursion, the battery it had in it died on us right off the bat. So the battery was bad that I had it in it, and the dealership was good enough, you know, because they sold me a vehicle that at least should be able to drive down the road. You know, that's kind of conditional. And it lasted about 3 days, and just as, well, a couple weeks, because we're going to go do a road trip, and the battery all of a sudden won't take a charge. So I told the dealership, I went over to AutoZone, had them change out the battery. I kept all the receipts and everything like that. Went over to the dealership, and the dealership, Kengarf, but Kengarf Ford. I have a Volvo that also is it's a C30, so it's a Ford 2 or a Mazda 3 or whatever they want to call it, but it's got the 5-cylinder engine in it. So anyway, I went over to the dealership and I said, hey, you sold me a vehicle that's supposed to be able to drive, and the battery's bad. So here's the receipts. Pay me for the receipts. And they did. They didn't argue with me or gripe with me or anything like that. You know, I wasn't upset. I was disappointed. And this Excursion had perfect brakes on it. I mean, and it runs really good. And there's a lot to like about this Excursion. It's got its problems, but nothing major. Well, I need to do the control, or not control arm, but the leaf spring bushings on it. So I'm going to go back to the shop that I always use and say, hey, how much are you going to charge me to do this? Because for time-wise, it would take me 3 months to find the extra time to change everything out, because I can't work on it every day because of the way my work schedule is. So anyway, to recapture, if your vehicle starts dying on you for no reason, but after a short time it'll start back up, especially with the modern electronic vehicle like my Excursion, replace the fuel filter first. Don't do all the troubleshooting and stuff like that. The fuel filter is cheap. It's like under 14 bucks. Okay? Have that changed. Have that changed or do it yourself. Do that first before you start troubleshooting everything else. Because from my experience, that's what the problem is. You know, and vehicles nowadays are so reliable, which is a good thing, that that's the first thing I would check anyway. The second thing with the battery saver on the Excursion is when that stuff, weird stuff starts happening, well, clean your battery, clean your terminals, and most likely it'll solve the problem. You have some kind of current drain with a dirty battery across the top, and apparently the relay is sensitive enough that it's trying to save the battery when there's actually nothing really wrong, but it's a relay, it's not a brain, so it's just helping you for all caution to be able to make it to wherever you need to go, so that the shop that you're stuck at in the middle of Timbuktu can charge you for a new fuel pump and a filter and troubleshooting all this other stuff, and you know, you got a $600 bill for a $14 part. Or, well, not even a part. You're cleaning the top of your battery. So, baking soda, $1.50 at Wally Weird, and you know, half a penny's worth of water to mix it all together, pour it across the top, and then clean everything off really good. And the reason why I'm saying that is because I have not had any trouble with my Excursion after I cleaned the top of my battery, cleaned the terminals, and did the little dielectric grease to seal, keep oxygen out so you don't have any more corrosion. Not a problem. So anyway, there, now you know. And oh, by the way, the fuel filter on a 2003 Ford Excursion is on the inside of the frame, underneath the driver's seat. Just so you know, because I've never seen it posted anywhere else on the internet. You know, look it up, type it up. 2002 Ford Excursion. Where's the fuel filter? Nothing. So now you know. Replace the fuel filter first if it keeps dying on you for no random reason and there's nothing else apparently wrong with the vehicle. Okay? Fuel filter first. Now I can't think of it. The relay for the battery saver shuts off the windows, shuts off the radio. Okay, clean the battery. Do that first. Save yourself a whole bunch of money. I don't know what the hourly rates are for doing batteries and stuff like that at the shop, but you know, that stuff you can do yourself if you're so inclined, or you have a really good local mechanic that's known you for 30 years. So anyway, that's the end of the video. That's all I had to say. Have a good one. Thanks for watching, and just car stuff. All's good. Okay. Drive safe. Bye.